What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And we've made the videos talking about Luffy, we've talked about Shanks, but this video is dedicated to Portgas D Ace, and giving my thoughts and opinions on him after giving him a little test trial in some content. So without further ado, guys, let's jump into it. If you do go on to enjoy it, make sure to smack the like button. Let's go ahead and start discussing with his captain ability. So Ace, being a Dex shooter free spirit, does give not only an HP boost and an attack boost to the classes and colors of Dex shooter free spirit, but the really interesting thing in his captain ability is that he provides Dex shooter and free spirit characters 50% special charge time reduction. And this is absurd. We haven't had a character that has done this before. We've had characters that reduce cooldown by set number values before, but to reduce it by a percentage is something we hadn't seen, and this is an incredibly powerful effect, and it does make Ace the best speed farm captain in the game. Of course, you know, there are other factors you have to take into consideration when you are choosing a character to speed farm content with. Obviously, there are other characters that you could use, like characters like Dog and Cat, that not only have some cooldown reduction, but also allow you to bypass defensive effects. But the cool thing about this is that you can synergize Ace with a lot of other powerful units to just break through content as well. So that's going to be a massive positive for this unit. So continuing on from the cooldown, which is obviously the #1 reason why you would use him, he also gives 1.35 health and the 6 times attack bonus to the classes and colors of Dex shooter free spirit. And then every time you kill something, you get a slight increase of your attack buff, which can stack all the way up to 6.25. And if a character is any one of the other classes or colors, you still get a 4.5 times boost instead. And the really cool thing of getting Int, Dex, Psi, and Tandem slots being beneficial as a captain, and also resisting 10 turns of special reverse. So a pretty good captain, honestly, really good speed farming captain. You've got utility, lots of matching slots, HP boost, attack boost, not really much else you could really require. He then says in his captain ability that if you use a special to grant an orb boost, extend the duration of that orb boost by 1 turn. So if you use double Ace, that actually extends it by 2 turns, which can be pretty valuable. And then if you use his special ability and you perform excellent with the action special, it becomes a 6.5 times attack boost instead to the characters of Dex, Shooter, and Free Spirit. So captain ability wise is the main reason why you would use him in content, and he doesn't really have much to complain about. It's a pretty good captain ability overall. Furthermore, the EX Super is going to be activated when you use him as a captain, and you do need 2 of the listed characters, being Luffy, Sabo, Garb, Roger, Marco, Izo, Yamato, Otama, and then any of his other generic crewmates. But the EX Super is pretty interesting as it provides -1 turn of cooldown to the crew, and then also says that if a character's first class is either fighter or cerebral, then it changes them into shooter characters for 1 turn. Again, I mentioned this with Shanks and Luffy, but I feel like the class-changing component of their kit should have just been generically for everyone, instead of specifically if their first class happens to be fighter or cerebral, or whichever it is for the other characters. So I think that's a little bit of a weird choice. It just should have been straight up everyone becomes shooter for 1 turn. Not really a big fan of that. But then he also will give Dex, Shooter, and Free Spirit characters 2.5 times attack boost for 2 turns, as well as granting Superclass Shooter and Superclass Free Spirit. So I believe Ace is slightly different with the EX Super, as he makes both of the classes transform, where I think with Luffy and Shanks, I think they might actually transform the color and one of the classes. So transforming both classes, I think, is a little bit more powerful, granting some additional statistical increases to those units. But of course, let's talk about the special ability of Ace, because that's also a really powerful component of this character. So the special ability also provides -1 turn of cooldown, and I do think this is a bit of a weird choice, considering the fact that he has so much cooldown in his captain effect. He has the ability in his EX Super to grant cooldown reduction as well, but then he also has the special ability to give -1 turn of cooldown. Now, he does have a crewmate ability to resist special reverse, meaning you can use him as a crewmate to deal with special reverse. However, you know, only giving -1 turn of cooldown, especially for a Super Sugo Fest exclusive, his special probably should have granted at least 2 turns of cooldown reduction for it to actually be somewhat useful. Moving forward from that though, he does remove 10 turns of paralysis and a really unique effect of removing 3 turns of damage nullification. Not many characters remove damage nullification, and again, even less characters remove it by 2 turns, and I can't even think of any characters off of the top of my head that remove damage nullification by 3 turns, so this is incredibly valuable. The other thing about that though is that damage nullification is a very uncommon debuff, so you can't really bank on this being super useful, but I feel like you should just look at this in the perspective of it's just a really unique effect that he has. If you happen to need it, he has it, which is awesome, but more often than not, this component of the special isn't going to be useful. But you move forward, he grants a full board of dex slots that goes through block, which is pretty valuable, and then he has different boosting effects. So first of which, he does grant a up to 4 times orb boost to dex, shooter, and free spirit, depending on your performance during the action special. At a bare minimum, you're getting a 3.5 times orb boost, which is never bad, and it lasts for 2 turns. If you have him as your captain, the orb boost lasts for 3 turns. Having that high of an orb boost that can last for 3 turns is absurd, and of course, especially if Intimidate is a thing in content, you can kind of get around Intimidate in a lot of different ways, which is great. And then, so you get that really good orb boost for 2 turns. It can be 3 turns if you have him as captain. It can be 4 turns if you have 2 aces as your captains. But then it says if you already have an orb boost, you get an ignited conditional boost. It's a 2.75 ignited conditional boost for 2 turns, as well as applying the ignited status on the enemy for 2 turns. So this is a really powerful effect. If you have double ace, getting up to a 4 times orb boost and a 2.75 conditional boost is pretty crazy. And then you can go ahead and move it forward from that, where it does also say at the bottom of his special, where if you have a color affinity boost activated and you launch Ace's special, it's going to magnify that color affinity boost by a value of 1.5 times. So this is going to be extremely valuable. If you do have any other special on your crew that is a color affinity special, you would want to use that first and then use Ace's special to get your buffs, and then, you know, obviously buff that color affinity that you have on your team. So this is really strong. So Ace has a lot going for him, especially when you now put all of these kits together. You've got a speed farm captain with an EX super to grant an attack boost and a special to grant a full board of slots and an orb boost. So this character by itself, granting cooldown, matching slots, attack boost, orb boost, and a really massive captain of up to 6.5 if you hit excellent during action specials. This is probably the best speed farm captain in the game, and especially because he can synergize so well with other great speed farmers, he's definitely going to see play moving forward. And then finally, I want to touch up on his Rush Sugo special. So we've kind of talked about the Rush Sugo special in the other 2 videos with Shanks and Luffy, but the thing with Ace, of course, is that you do need the 2 listed characters on the crew, and you can also go ahead and use it as the first tap in your chain or the final tap of your chain. So the way that would kind of work is that if you have a really good final tap already on your crew, then Ace can be used at the start of the chain to give a big buff to your Dex, Shooter, or Free Spirit characters for the rest of the turn. And of course, Rush Sugo special will stack with Super Tandem, and then you can finish off with Final Tap. Or alternatively, if you don't have a good Final Tap to use, you can just let Ace be your last big damage dealer. Especially if you're up against a quick boss, having Ace perform his Rush Sugo special as the final tap of the chain grants massive damage to this character. Of course, he's not, as good as, the Psy Gear 5 Luffy's Rush, where he's super effective against all types and doing absurd damage, but at the same time, you do have to take into consideration what this character is already providing with the rest of this kit, and then also adding this Rush Sugo special on top of it to be used to add even more damage to the crew. It is honestly a really nice component that this character has. And as I said, he synergizes well with a lot of good shooter characters. The fact that he also is focused on Free Spirit, and we know how good Free Spirit are in One Piece Treasure Cruise, and then you've got Dog and Cat and other, Dex-focused speed farmers that he can also synergize with. And he's got Barrier Pierce as well, so you can use like Ben Beckman, Lucky Roo if you wanted to, do stuff like that. So Ace is a really powerful unit, and I think he will see a lot of play moving forward into the future, especially if there's any random piece of content that you have to clear. Ace is going to be a nice unit to use to help you get through it. One thing about his special, though, is that compared to Shanks and Luffy, Ace's special does not do damage. So if you have a support that triggers upon using a damage dealing special, that won't work with Ace, which is a little bit of a weird choice, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I think overall Ace is a really fun character to use and definitely worthy of being, you know, a Super Sugo Fest exclusive character. I really hope you guys did enjoy this one. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about the new Podcast D Ace down below in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.
どこで何をやろう。この絆は切れねえ。わしを縄取ったら怪我するぞ。来いよ。